Okay. Well, I'm excited about our team, and it's always good to have 4 starters back, which basically we do. Lost 2 really good kids a year ago in Candace and Katia, and but when you got 4 starters back, 4 seniors on your team, and a top 20 recruiting class, you've got to be excited about that, and I'm certainly very excited about our team. I think our skill set has improved, which we've continued to work on since we got here 2 years ago, and it needed to improve. And so, with that being said, from what I've seen with our trip overseas and how we competed over there, and with our individual workouts that we've had here in the fall, and we've had a couple of 1-hour workouts that we're allowed to do here in the last couple of weeks, I'm very encouraged and really looking forward to seeing what we can accomplish this year.
How good do you think that this team could be?
Well, I think we have a chance to be very good. I think number one, we look like an SEC team getting off the bus finally, and that's important, because if you don't look like one, chances are you're not one in this league. You better have some size. You better have some kids that look like they can take a beating and give a beating. And so the physical part of the game is such a big factor at this level. And so I think we're now, after year 2, we're in that position. Not only have we developed that with the kids that we inherited, but we've also recruited that. And I think that's where it really begins. So from that standpoint, I'm very optimistic. I'm excited about our team. I think we've got some hard-working kids, and they're competitive. And I think, again, you got no chance if you don't have kids that don't want to compete. And I think we've got a bunch of competitors.
After taking that trip to Europe, how far ahead of the curve is this year's team as opposed to maybe last year?
Well, I think what you found in Europe, you got to compete, and the kids got to play with each other and develop a little bit of chemistry that, quite frankly, you wouldn't have until your first 2 exhibition games. So now they have a feel for one another. They know what so-and-so can do. They know where so-and-so might be on the floor or wants to get the ball on the floor. So I just think from that standpoint, I think we worked out 6 times. So we had 6 practices, and then we played 4 games. So we're 10 days ahead of the curve. And you think, well, okay, how big a deal is that? Well, I think it can be a big deal if you use it to your advantage, and I think we have. So our seniors, I think, are excited. They should be. They've worked awfully hard. I'm awfully proud of Martha, Kendra, and JJ. Those 3 have been here through the change and been part of the change. And then Savannah, obviously, is a young lady we recruited, and she's now reunited with her junior college head coach, who's now on our staff. And so it's an exciting time for us right now. I think we're 6 weeks out. It's where we are.
You go from, I think, 13 your first year to 22 last year in quarterfinals of the WNIT. What do you think the key is to take the next step? And I guess the next step would be to get to the NCAA tournament.
Well, one thing you got to realize, and I have to remind myself all the time, we lose 3 overtime games in the league. And we win 5 games in the SEC. We lose 3 overtime games, 1 in double overtime. If you win 2 of those 3, you're in the NCAA tournament. That's how close we were, yet that's how far we were. And again, we lose on a 30-footer at the buzzer, which I'm still kicking myself over, that if you win that game, you're probably going to win the NIT. I feel that confident about our group. And it's the old saying, but if you never get out of the SEC, if you go through that 16-game grind, go through the SEC tournament, you can get through that, you can beat anybody in the country. And I really felt that way after we got past Auburn last year in the 3rd game. I really felt good about our chances. And of course our crowds grew. There was a buzz in the town, in the community, in the state about our kids, which is very deserving. And so I'm still kicking myself over that one. What was it the year before? The bad taste with Alabama in the SEC tournament. So I've had another little bad taste in my mouth, but you know what? It's not near as bad as the one year before. So the blueprint, I'd say, after 2 years, we've been ahead in both the first 2 years. We're ahead of the curve in each of those years. Can we make that next step in the 3rd year? That's our challenge. And again, I think the key's probably going to be seniors need to play like seniors, and our top 20 recruiting class needs to play like top 20 recruits. And I think, because I think our sophomore class, they're going to be really good. You know, they're going to continue to get better, continue to grow. The biggest change, the biggest improvement you make is between your freshman and sophomore year. So I think, you know, when you talk about Bree and Katera and who am I missing in that class? Bree, Katera, Chinway. You know, those kids are gonna be a lot better. And Chinway still hasn't played her first game. And again, I think she's a big key to what we're going to do. Be nice to be able to play her and Martha together a little bit. That's a pretty big front line. That's a pound it. We'll be stretching anybody with that group. We'll be shooting it and going and getting it. So I think those are real important.
You said pound it. That's what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what did your blueprint, you mentioned blueprint, what did it say you would achieve? What did you expect it to achieve last year?
Well, again, you talk about the blueprint and what we had done when I was a part of building Texas A&M. You know, that first year at A&M, we were 9-19. Won 2 games in the league. Our first year here, we're 13-17. We won 5 games in the league, right? And then the second year, we went 14-14. Here we were 19-13 after the regular, and we won a game in the SEC tournament. So you go, you know, at the end of the year, we were 17-15 that second year at A&M. Well, here we were 22-14. So that's where I say I think we're a little ahead of the curve, you know, with our blueprint. Now, you've done it for 2 years. The important year is now the one in front of us, because that third year at A&M, we were in the NCAA tournament. And so I think this year, this team needs to take that step. And they feel that expectation. You know, I certainly have it. My staff really has it. So that's our mindset right now.
How good can Victoria Vivian be?
Good as she wants to be. You know, I think she's got the frame, she's got the makeup as a competitor. She's a big physical kid, big guard, can stretch you, shoot it, can go off the bounce, finish with contact. I mean, you know, again, total package. Still young, going to be learning the game. But like I've said, she's going to learn to enjoy the pass that leads to the basket as much as her having to have scored the baskets all her career. But you either have that mentality of wanting to take the shot or not. And she's not going to run from that opportunity because she's had to do it all her life. And you got to want kids that, and I think I've got a team full of those. Hey, Martha took it last year when we beat Vanderbilt, you know. Dominique took it when we beat Arkansas. She's the one that made the big shot that gave us some breathing room in Fayetteville. So we've got a team of some confident kids, and that's what you got to have. But they're confident because they got a skill set. It's hard to be confident if you don't have a skill set. That's the bottom line. And so our kids, you know, I think our kids top to bottom have a skill set, and there's some confidence in our group, and that's good. You know, some coaches call that swagger. Well, it's hard to have swagger when you're getting beat. You know, I've been around coaches that go, well, we've lost our swag. Well, you've lost your swagger because you've lost your last 3. It's hard to have swagger when you're getting beat. So I think for our kids, you know, going back to Victoria, I think her, you know, the sky's the limit for her. The good thing is she's been well coached already. She's had a lot of demands placed on her where she's come from. And, you know, we're getting a kid that's obviously very, very competitive.
How much better do you think Martha can be?
I say this all the time. All I do is complain about Martha. She's first team All-SEC and Defensive Player of the Year. And, again, if she ever would, you know, to me, she's not close to where she could be. I mean, I think she's got so much room to grow and improve, and she's already, as y'all seen, we took a kid to averaging 5 points a game. She goes to be second team All-SEC in year 1 with us. In year 2, she's first team All-SEC and co-defensive player of the year. So, and I still think she's got leaps and bounds that she can make. And, you know, she's going to have, Chinway made her better last year in practice. Chinway's going to make her better this year in practice. And I think those two are going to learn to complement each other and learn to push each other. So
Well, having Chinwei and Victoria in the game improve her game as well, not just in practice, but in the game.
Well, here's what's happened. Last year, Savannah took some of Martha's rebounds from her, because Savannah was a rebounding three player that we hadn't had the year before. You got to remember, Martha, as a sophomore, we didn't have, we didn't have anybody to really go rebound other than Martha. So she had some inflated stats. Well, then you bring in Brianna Richardson, Katara Chappell, and Savannah Carter, even Dominique. Those kids end up taking 2-3 rebounds a game from Martha. So her rebounding stats came down a little bit. Well, now you're going to have Bree her sophomore year, Katara her sophomore year. You got Lacaris coming in. Then you've got a Victoria and a Savannah at the 3 that are going to rebound. Well, then don't forget you got Dom over there at the 2, Kendra and Kayla, all big guards that can rebound too. So her rebounding, her stats still may come down. Doesn't mean she's any less of a player or less of an impact. But now when people want to try to really focus on Martha, there's other weapons on the floor that are going to be able to step up and answer the bell, which we haven't had. And so I think that's where our team gets better. And it takes a little bit of the load off Martha. So
You mentioned Coach Lovato earlier in your comment about Savannah. What does she add to the staff?
she's just got an unbelievable passion. You're talking about somebody that's been on been back-to-back head coach, two-time defending national champion. She's called some meaningful timeouts in her career. She's had to draw up some meaningful plays down the stretch. So she brings a dimension to our staff, I think, from a game standpoint that's going to add to, Johnny's already been on the bench for so many big games, sat next to me for the last 7-8 years. Of course, Aqua's played in those games, been a part of those decisions as a player as well as a coach. But I think, too, that she fits in so well in our office. The work ethic up and down our hallway, y'all, I'll put it up against anybody in the country. I got six national championship rings up and down my office. I got 3 assistants that are in Hall of Fames. Hey, I'm not in a Hall of Fame. I got 3 assistants that are in a Hall of Fame somewhere. I don't care what Hall of Fame it is. That's something. I mean, I'll put that staff up against anybody in the country. Other than Connecticut, you tell me another staff that's got 6 national championship rings up and down the hallway. And so I'm as proud of them as I can be. And again, I've always said I got the best staff in the country. They're tremendous role models for our student athletes, great mentors. They just do a tremendous job, and that's before they ever even get to the court as coaches. And as a parent, it's one of our biggest selling points because I know parents are concerned about that today, and who are their kids going to be around, who's going to be their role models, who's going to mentor them, and hey, you're not going to find 5 better ones than what I got up and down the hallway. So, and Coach Lovato fits in well with and again, that was my home run. That's who I really wanted. She was my #1 pick. Scott helped me make that happen, and again, my staff wanted her. So.
When you talk about the national championships within the office and everything, and high expectations for you guys, obviously, as a coach, what's the mentality in the rebuilding process from year 1 to year 2 and now into year 3?
Well, most coaches would probably sit here and not want to talk about expectations, and that way you fly under the. We're still going to be under the radar, but I think we've earned the respect of the people in our conference where we're probably not going to be under the radar of the people we play in the SEC. I got a phone call the other night from somebody that votes in the top 25, and he said, hey, I just want you to know, I've talked to most of the league, and they all mention the usual suspects, who's the top 3 or 4 teams, but then they always have come in with, and you better watch out for Mississippi State. At some point, you can't run and hide from that. I want us to embrace those expectations. I just think it's important. It's time for us to do that. That's why we were hired. And so I want us to wear it. I want us to wear those expectations and wear that responsibility and let's go. Why shoot for here and get there, but really you could have got here if you'd have just shot for there. That's kind of been always my mentality. So we're going to shoot for here, and we're going to work for there. And so I think that again, you can always low key it and kind of do that way, or you can put it out there on the table and go, you know what, this is our expectations for the year, and this is what we're going to shoot for. Because I don't think we're going to sneak up on anybody. I think I could sit here and be coy all I wanted, but